Hello, my name is Albert Byrne and I'm standing for the constituency of Louth in the Dáil elections. For some time now, in particular in the past year, I've been subjected to a series of incidents which have been aimed at intimidating me and harassing me in my daily life. These have included interference in my email accounts, my social media, interference in the mechanics of my car, house break-ins, interference in my broadband, interference in the purchase of my house, and so on, so on, so on. In July of 2019, I made a report to the Garda Ombudsman because I was of the opinion that such incidents could not be occurring without certain levels of access within this country. Most recent response I've had is they are considering whether to investigate or not. In fairness to local Gardaí, I decided to also file a report before Christmas, and 2 days later, actually, after making that arrangement, I was approached by an individual who made it clear to me that if it was possible to kill a Gardaí overseas, then it would equally be possible to kill me. So those events have left me unnerved and asking the question, why is someone going to so much trouble to interfere in my life? I find myself coming to the conclusion there are only three possibilities. Firstly, I should explain that as a child I was sexually and physically abused and spent my lifetime seeking healing from that pain. This has taken me all over the world in search of different types of healing, and along the way I encountered a plant medicine from West Africa which comes from the iboga plant, a derivative of which is ibogaine, which as it turns out was discussed just last week at the Davos conference. This plant medicine showed me my past as well as a way forward in my future. And out of gratitude for that experience, I set up a website called myiboga.com, because it also turns out that this plant is able to cure the physical effects of heroin and opiate addiction, as well as many other polydrugs syndromes. For a time, I thought perhaps the pharmaceutical industry was seeking to silence me, and that perhaps they were involved in these attempts to hijack my website and to turn me away from giving my support. But in the end, I found myself, through much consideration, coming to the conclusion that that could not be the case, as there were too many inconsistencies. So the next possibility that came to my mind was linked to my campaign of 2009, where I promoted the idea of a united Ireland based on a federal state. I've worked in Belfast for 5 years, as well as lived in London and Brighton. And during that time, it has become clear to me that the best way forward as a country is to secure the rights and dignity of all communities on this island of Ireland, is to continue to support the Northern Ireland Assembly as part of a federal system. However, even that, as I consider it, I find it hard to believe. So having considered those possibilities, finding myself not convinced, I finally considered the last possibility. In 2009, when I stood for election, I noticed certain irregularities took place during the vote. I stood on a platform of reform and transparency because I did not agree with the manner in which banks were bailed out and losses were passed on to the population, resulting in social unrest and serious social problems. At the election count in 2009, a vote from the RD area arrived in a box in Dundalk, and so the boxes had to be recalled and recounted. After this recall, to my mind, there was a difference in the voting patterns, and it was because of that that I approached the Gardaí in Dundalk station with my concerns that the election had been interfered with. In the meantime, my life has taken a turn for the worst in terms of the events which I have described to you. And I find myself coming to the conclusion that justice and policing in this country needs serious reform. We need to put an end to political appointments. We need to ensure that Gardaí represent all people equally, rather than promote a version of events that suits their purpose. Political appointments do not serve the ordinary person in any way. They only help to secure a system that favours certain individuals. So I find myself asking the question, is organised crime behind the events that are taking place with me? Is it an attempt to prevent me from entering politics with my platform of reform and transparency? And if that is the case, to what extent is public life compromised? To what extent are what we're witnessing now with the Children's Hospital, with a cost of run from 600 million to a potential 2.4 billion, actually siphoning off of state funds through the manipulation of individuals? And how are other projects being affected? The lack of reform and transparency in public life makes it possible for so many projects in this country to rack up costs which to the ordinary person are astonishing. And where are those costs recovered from? We see now attempts to increase the pension age from 65 to 67. In other words, it's the weakest in our society who pay for the exploits of the strongest. I believe in a just and fair society where losses are not socialised while profits are privatised. In order for this to be the case, we need a system that's built to purpose. We need reforms and we need transparency. Coming from a background in systems analysis and having retrained in nutritional therapy, I believe we need to rethink our healthcare model. We need to make available free nutritional evaluation for every adult and child in the state. In so doing, we can prevent many chronic illnesses and acute illnesses and alleviate the need for so many pharmaceuticals, which compounded lead to more illness. We will not fix the problem until we understand the solution. If one thing my life has taught me from bitter experience is the importance of emotional intelligence. As a state, we should ensure that every child, before they enter school, has the opportunity to foster and grow that emotional intelligence, so that we lay the groundwork for a more inclusive and coherent society where the rights of the individual are understood and respected. We need to reach out to the vulnerable youth in our community and let them feel they are part of something greater, that they are not forgotten, that they have a future. I believe the dignity of all people on this island is vital to our own dignity, regardless of which community or background they come from. As Seamus Mallon said, make haste slowly. So I'm asking you to come out and vote for that dignity and the prosperity that it brings and the hopes for a better future for all of us. My name is Albert Byrne, and I'm asking you to come out and support me in my vision of a better future for all of us on this island of Ireland. Thank you.